Hey, welcome to Refuel. I'm Ray Johnston. I'm glad you're here with us. Jesus said a lot of things that look absolutely crazy. Like when he said, come and die. I mean, most people don't think they're better off dead, okay? He also said something that everybody this day pretends they believe, but they don't. When he said, it's more blessed to give than receive. Are you kidding me? I mean, it makes no sense until you unpack it. I heard a guy say, and here's a phrase of the day, ready? He said this: generosity is one of God's best gifts to you. Generosity is one of God's best gifts to you. I mean, unpack. People that are generous are rarely mentally deranged. People that are generous are happier. You will almost never find a discouraged, depressed, generous person. Okay. Matter of fact, the word miser is the root word for miserable. Okay. And so and some of you listen to me going, okay, when Jesus said it's more blessed to give than receive, you got to be kidding. Matter of fact, the minute you start talking about giving or tithing or sacrifice to the people in the richest culture in history, they act like, oh, they're talking about money. They're trying to take something away from me. No, cover to cover, the Bible says, no, this is God's gift to you because of what it does to you and to the world. Okay. I'll give you an example. Carol and I vacation with 4 couples every year for a weekend, and we did it in Southern California. And this guy's got a small church. It's an amazing church. It's about 300 or 400 people, and which actually isn't small in the great scheme of things. But for them, it was going to be small. So I said, we're going to go hear a great pastor speak this morning. His name is Cunningham. He's been battling cancer for 3.5 years. You all gave him about $80,000 to get he and his family through this season, and he has hung on a long time. We went to hear him preach at this great church in Palm Springs area called Shadow Rock. Okay? We go in, and it's Tithing Sunday. And everybody's like, you can feel the whole church going, oh no, here we go again. He gets up and he unpacks tithing. And he said, generosity is God's greatest gift to you. And he told a story about himself. When he was a youth pastor, he said, I was a poverty-stricken youth pastor 20-something years ago. He goes, I was driving this old beat-up car. He said, was driving down this road, there's a big dip in this road, and there was a huge flood that had washed through, and there's a lot of water on the road. And he said, well, it can't be that deep. He said, I started driving in. It got deeper and deeper. And he said, being a youth pastor, I should have backed out, but I'm being a youth pastor, you always go forward. He goes, I went in, he goes, it slid down, my entire car went underwater. He said, I got out the window, got on top of it. The car was wrecked. He went and told the pastor, hey, man, here's what I did to the car. He said the next week, the pastor used him and that thing as a sermon illustration. And he's like, no. Then he said the pastor called me up. And the pastor told the story. And at the end, he said, we're going to do one more worship song. And he said to Craig, I want you to hold out your hands and stand on the front of the stage. And he said, during this song, he said, if you think our youth pastor is going to be more effective if he has a car, he said, just come up, put money in his hands, and we're going to help our youth pastor buy a new used car. And he said, they struck up the song and people started coming up, and he said he's put money after money after money. And he said, my wife and I were able to get a new used car. And I thought, this is incredible. And then he wraps up this sermon about 15 minutes later, and he said, we have a young lady from our church. I just want to tell you her story. He said a year ago, she was going to go away to college. He said, met with her and said, wouldn't it be great if you stayed a year and became our nursery coordinator and went to a local JC? And he said, she did that. She has served our church amazingly all year long. He said, well, she told me a couple weeks ago that she's going to Cal State Fullerton for her sophomore year. He goes, I'm brokenhearted about it. He said, she needs a car. And we don't pay much around here, so she hadn't been able to buy. He said, so he called her up, and she stood on the edge of the stage, and she just held this. He handed her a black bucket, and he said, during this next worship song, if you would like to, would you just come up and put money in the bucket? And we're going to help her get a new used car. And the worship band struck up, and myself, I'm like, I grab out my wallet, my wife, our whole row, all of us on vacation, the entire church poured forth, and tears are streaming down her face the entire time. Okay? And I watched the room, and I watched what happened in the room. and joy filled the room. People walked up. People were crying while she was crying. People hugged her, blessed her. Everybody felt better after giving than they felt before. Okay, and her world changed. Okay, last week, Bayside, we talked about giving, tithing, and we basically said, man, go after it. Like, sign something, make a commitment to do this. Okay, you'll be better. So, what happens is this: I watched that room and I went, people walked in here discouraged. They walked out joyful. We went out to lunch and talked about the service for 30 minutes. It was this amazing experience watching the joy of generosity flood into the hearts of people and watch that whole church came alive with joy. I've seen that stuff at Thrive when we've taken an offering for somebody and we literally, years ago, we bought this lady a car she could never afford to get. I mean, all of this kind of stuff, and people were crying and applauding at the same time. That kind of joy, that kind of deep joy almost never happens unless somehow I'm triggering generosity, okay? What I want to say is this: generosity changes your heart. Generosity lifts your emotions. Generosity liberates you from the tight vest of being strangled by materialism. Generosity liberates you and gives you joy. The last thing generosity does this: it doesn't just change you, it changes the world, okay? Some people have said to me, I went to Bayside, they asked me for money, and I went, you bet we did, and we are going to keep doing that. Why are we? Not for us, okay? Because of what happens because of it. We just got off the phone with Brian Hopkins. Brian Hopkins and a team of people from Bayside are in Poland and, check it out, at personal danger, are in the Ukraine right now. We just had a conversation with them. They are getting people out of Ukraine. They are working with Convoy of Hope. They're spectacular, okay? They're saying, look, the second we fill up these huge warehouses, the stuff's gone all, he goes, we just offloaded the truck. People are in desperate need there. We're working with people that have bought an apartment complex. They're redoing the entire thing as housing for people. People are backing their cars up to the border of Ukraine from Poland, and refugees are flooding across, and people are going, our house can take two people hopping, our house can take three, and that stuff's happening over there. And the only reason we're there, the only reason they have things to give away, the only reason that can happen is we took a second offering, and you all gave about $150,000 to fuel all that kind of stuff. I get real serious here, okay? We live in the richest culture in history. People should be begging us to talk about generosity every week. Why? Because if you believe the Bible and the words of Jesus, generosity is good for you because it changes your heart. And then in places like Poland and the Ukraine and Placer County, it changes the world. So take this to heart. Jesus did. Have a great day, everybody.